Hey, welcome everybody. This is John Paul, Dutch Street Selling, and you are watching the Raging Verbalist number 192. Raging Verbalist, for those of you who are just tuning in, is, well, it's whatever I'm going to rage about this week and talk about. And if you're an old timer, you've been here more than once, welcome back. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, live, and then also you can watch it again on YouTube later on. Always think that you want to find out more, go to positionalwinbook.com, which is where a bunch of my stuff resides. You get some pretty cool free stuff. And as always, we have the ever lovely Sandra, who will step in for you and ask the tough questions that I will be answering today. Sandra, welcome.
Hello, how are you doing?
Doing well. I'm excited about our topic. Again, we cover topics that others may fear to tread. So what are we talking about today, Sandra?
All right, so we are talking about the blue moon. So what is the history of the blue moon?
Well, for those of you who don't know what a blue moon is, you will know by the end of this. You'll be able to astonish and amaze your friends with the elucidation of it. So I had to find the right word for that. So a blue moon really speaks to the fact that you have two full moons in any given calendar month. And when that happens, it is called the blue moon. And the history of it is a little bit murky, a little bit dark. Astrologers from centuries ago, of course, were tracking the moon, trying to figure out how it would affect, your fortunes or your misfortunes and make sure everything was going to work. Lots of speculation that it was really where people would say blue, like B-L-E-W, like you blew it. And maybe that's where it came from. Now, the real origin has to go back to, or not the naming convention, is that 1946, a guy named James Hugh Pruitt, in Astronomy magazine, which I know, hey, I just read it for the articles, sat there and said, well, you know what, there's this phenomenon, and he said, we call it the blue moon, and he published it, and he was the guy who coined it. Here's the only downside is that nobody really went and checked the date because he missed the date. He got it wrong. And well, what the heck? But at least he got the day of blue moon. This week it's coming up. It's going to be a blue moon on August the 30th, 2023. The next blue moon after this one, if you miss this one, why we're here, we don't want you to miss it. The next one is May 31st, 2026. Now, there are some unique occurrences where you're going to have it twice in the same month. And we'll be talking about that soon. But there you go. It has nothing to do with color, but it has to do with two full moons in one calendar month. Okay, Sandra, what else we have?
All right, so how often does it occur?
Well, it occurs about every 2 to 3 years. And in 2018, it occurred twice. In 2 months, but one of the months that it occurred was a lunar eclipse. So if you were in the dark ages, if you were in medieval times and this happened, clearly the astrologers would have had a field day, and people would have been very nervous and fearful. By the way, if you want to see a double blue moon year, well, set your calendar for 2037. If we're still doing Raging Verbalist, I'm sure we'll give you plenty of warning on that because, of course, what else would one want to do but start marking these things on a calendar? And again, just a reminder, if you miss this one, and we don't want you to miss it, is that it's going to be May 31st, 2026. So you're going to have to wait 3 years. Why do that when you can capture the excitement of a blue moon?
All right, and what are the superstitions that are surrounding it?
Well, the superstitions goes back to Europe, and of course, in Europe they have lots of crazy things going on. And they said once they figured out that this thing was taking place, and the reason why it was so unnerving is that if you think that things are this neat, perfect cycle, right? Once you get it through your head, we've got our calendar set. We got we have the phases of the moon. It affects fortunes and love lives, and even whether or not you're going to, have, can be, conceived, because that might be a big deal for stuff. But then they said, well, strange events happen. And if you want to know where the concept of the wild dogs, and dogs are going to go wild during this. And it got so to the point where they did a study in the UK, I think also in Australia in 2001 to see if, wild dogs and dog bites went up during the blue moon, and did it affect those dogs? And they'll go out there, and then, it's the devil's workshop going on. And then the best one that came out of it, of course, is that people, because of the blue moon, well, now, you couldn't make a movie just about the blue moon, because then you'd have a lot of people going, well, when's this going to happen? 2 years from now? Okay, well, we don't need to watch it. But, that whole idea of when it was a full moon, people would turn into a wolf, a werewolf. Well, the blue moon was thought to be, werewolves. And of course, well, there's money to be made in Hollywood for that. So I'm surprised they didn't have the, blue moon werewolf movie. Hey, that might be an idea. If you go and make that, just make sure that you give the old Raging Verbalist a little credit on that one. Oh, and a percentage deal too.
So that's right. At one point, wasn't it more negative than positive?
Well, nothing's better than sitting there going, hey kids, let's gather around and see people turn into wolves and attack and rip your throat out or something. So I think I would say that's a little on the negative side. I don't know, maybe it's a downer, a bummer, or something like that. But then all of a sudden, it started moving around, and people said, well, hey, it's hard to have a party if everybody's afraid that Harry's going to grow hair all over him and start doing crazy stuff and all of that. So what you got to do is let's flip it around. Then it became a more magical time, and it's now turned into more of a positive thing. So yes, at one point in time it was considered negative, and and we had to be fearful of it. But now, of course, we are so much more enlightened in considering how much we depend upon who knows what kind of silly nonsense to predict the future. Well, we like to think that we're so sophisticated and we're so much smarter than they were then. I don't know if that's true or not. All you gotta do is watch people who are superstitious, and not that I have any salt to throw over my shoulder, but there you go. Metaphorical salt. It's we should sell that too. Maybe we should do that. We'll have blue moon salt to ward away wolves or something like that. Isn't it? No, garlic is
vampires, I think. Both?
Yeah, garlic is
garlic and salt. I'm not sure. I haven't had to deal with that too much personally, so I don't know.
Yeah, we're at a loss. So put it down in the comments below. Tic tac, patty whack, give a dog a bone. I don't know. There's kind of crazy stuff going on. So anyway, yeah, 1 point in time was negative. Then it flipped around. Now, since you don't want to be a victim of the blue moon, the negative blue moon that happens to your business, if you don't want any of that stuff to take place, well, I have an antidote for that. And you don't have to wait for a blue moon. All you have to do is go out there and pick this up and check it out. And all you have to do is go get. Most businesses fail in the first 5 minutes. It just takes them 3 to 5 years to realize it, position to win. My book, written, of course, with my co-conspirator, Gabe Batista, check it out. You will make mistakes in the first 5 minutes. You can get it physically at Amazon or Barnes & Noble or wherever books are sold. You can ask them. If they don't have it, you can say, I want this book, and they'll order it. Or you can go to positiontowinbook.com. Also, you can get it in every electronic format, Kindle, Nook, and Apple iBooks. And of course, for those of you who are out there in the world of, so that's that book. If you want to go out and get Remote Work for a Better World and check out how to do whatever it is you're going to do and be a digital nomad and do it better, because most people suck at it. I will say that nicely, but go check that out and you'll be happier, smarter, better, and all of those things. So go check it out, and and then that way, a blue moon, any day will be a better, more positive one for you. Check it out. Glad that you're here.
All right. And is there any famous things that have happened during the blue moon?
Well, we did a lot of checking, and unfortunately, the correlation, and I think that there's some kind of government suppression of this. I think maybe somebody should look into this, that are stopping people from really sharing this. Probably if you put it up on Twitter, I guess now X, And you can follow me on X, by the way. But if you go and check it out, I bet you there's probably a warning that that we might be spreading something out there. So we haven't been able to find a lot of things. However, I went to the Super Bowl where my Denver Broncos won on January 25th, 1998. And I'm listening to all the different chatter because, once your team wins, you are just, over the top excited about it. And somebody said, well, luckily they won during a blue moon. And for a period of years, I have been living with that belief system. Again, you got to believe that something magical had to happen because, after losing all those games, hey, and I was physically there. And then it turns out with our research and our crack research team, nope, Sandra dug up that it was a waning crescent with like 5% illumination. So, yeah, and of course, nothing is worse than having a dream shattered by a Nebraskan. Nothing is worse than that. So, that fantasy, that bubble is popped, and well, reality is now with my blue moon there. So, okay.
All right. Does anyone still celebrate this?
Now it turns out that we're coming up on the Virgin Mary's birth or something. I mean, and so Catholics this year will be celebrating around the same time because, of course, this is going to be August the 30th, 2023. So we're giving you a warning. You have no excuse not to know this and celebrate it. So, I all of those who are going to be celebrating it for that reason is great. But most actually don't, and maybe you should start. So, have a blue moon party. Go out there and celebrate. And we're going to be giving you all the various products that you could probably buy that are associated with blue moon. But you can make some stuff up on your own, and a little bit of blue dye can turn anything blue. So away you go. And but yeah, I think that this is the time to start a tradition. Now, again, it's not often enough that you're going to have to worry about going to too many of these parties. But yeah, I would say that not enough people celebrate the blue moon phenomenon.
So have people already used blue moon in their product?
Well, if you want to smell good, they have a blue moon perfume. Ooh. Now, I don't know. I whatever gender or way you want to pronoun you want to use, you can just lather yourself on some blue moon and away you go. Also, there's ice cream. I mean, nothing better than ice cream. So we have makings of a party right there. There's a specialty foods company that's called Blue Moon. We don't know exactly what they do. Here's one that I think everyone should buy. Now, we don't have affiliate links, so we're not being compensated for any of these things. Though if anybody out there who is in a blue moon wants to send money, well, yeah, get a hold of us. Of course, I tell you, we have a Facebook group for Position to Win book. Go check it out there and say, Sandra, because Sandra will, moderates this, so be nice and say, hey, we want to send some money to the Raging Verbalist because of a blue moon. There you go. Send photos of your blue moon party. Be nice about it. Don't be crazy. But there's a dream catcher for blue moons. Now, I would think that it would get a little stale in the years in between, but it's a dream catcher. There's a night light. Well, I mean, there's what's better than a night light? Hey, mommy, I can't sleep. Well, let me plug in a night light. Well, what is it? It's a blue moon. Woo! There you go. Neon signs, and now, but the big one, of course, is the blue moon beer. Now, through our meticulous crack research team, we have uncovered that it used to be called Belly Slide Belgian White instead of Blue Moon beer. Now, all I can say is that Belly Slide, I've seen enough, and I'm going to be very bold here. I've seen mostly men who have the Belly Slide thing going on. Guys, give it up. You still don't wear the same size slacks or same size jeans you wore in high school. I don't care how much you put over the top of it, but you just don't. It's just the way it goes. Funniest time I ever saw that is there was this guy who was at the Denver airport, and I was trying to get through security, and he walked through, and it went beep, 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 beep. Now he had taken off his cowboy boots. He took off his cowboy hat. He took off his, his aviator sunglasses. He took his cell phone out, and they go, "Oh, you're beeping." And the guy puts the wand over it, and he goes, "Oh, it's your belt buckle." And the guy leaned over. Now he had, for the sake of those who are squeamish, he actually had this all covered with material that was not translucent, and he pulls his stomach up, revealing a belt buckle that could have been a hubcap in other days. And he goes, so do I have to take it off? And the guy said, "You do." And he sits there with this great twangy accent. I don't know where he was from. He said, "Son, this could get ugly." And of course, we all kind of moved back, So he was definitely a belly slider, but anyway, customer said, "Hey, a beer this good only comes along once in a blue moon." And they latched onto it. And they said, "That's a good idea." Now, they've made a bunch of money, sold out to Molson Coors, and cashed in. Of course, they've used moon every which way you can, harvest moon, and then of course honeymoon. Now, I don't know. I didn't drink beer on my honeymoon, but why not? Hey, honey, let's pop a six-pack together and party like it's our honeymoon. So there you go. So yes, some people have used blue moon in a variety of ways, but all I can say is don't drink so much that you end up with a belly slide problem.
All right. And how can a business use this for a special promotion?
The best part about things like the blue moon, if you're having fun with this, and you should be having a little bit of fun with it, is that what you want to do is find an excuse to have a promotion. So this August 30th, why not say, "Hey, we're going to have a blue moon special, and this special will not be repeated until 2026, so you better do something now." Get creative. In fact, every day of the year is something. It's national this day and national that day. Well, this is a phenomenon caused by this rock that's attached to us via gravity. I mean, as far as I know, there's no strings or sticks or anything. A magician could go out in space and go, "Look, no strings attached." And there's that moon out there, and it's back again. So why not use this? Get creative. Every business should use every occasion to come up with a reason to do a promotion, because that's what makes a lot of sense. And that way you can have a little bit of fun. Maybe you get a little bit of attention. It gets very boring and very annoying when I see promotions that say always the same thing: sale. We need to sell something. Well, yeah, that's what I'm all about. That's what I'm all. But let's find a creative way to do it. So figure out how to get a little bit of copy around blue moon. Talk about it. Use some of the fun things we talked about today, and maybe you just might get a little bit more business. So for myself, John Paul Mendoza, Dr. Speed Selling, and the ever lovely Sandra, this has been the Raging Verbalist number 192. We've been talking about a blue moon. This only comes around every so often. And all I can say is celebrate the blue moon, drop some comments, tell us about it, subscribe, hit the notification if you want to get annoyed, but all you need to know is we come around every week. And unlike the blue moon, I think we're a little bit more reliable. Go on, have a great one. Thanks, everybody, and see you on the next Raging Verbalist.